Yeah. Alrighty. Welcome back. Hello, Laurah-Lee. Hello, everybody else. Welcome back to the first episode of 2022 of the Woo Woo 111.1 podcast. I am your co-host, Tabitha, and
I'm Laurah-Lee. We've taken a wee bit of unplanned hiatus. So this episode, we shall share a little bit about what has been going on and get us back on track for 2022 for our remaining episodes.
yes.
So yes. This is episode 7 now.
Yes, episode 7. We're just going to entitle it The Hiatus.
Yeah, The Hiatus. All right. Well,
so
you want to go first and share what's been going on in your life?
Yeah, so I think when we did our last episode in November, I was already mentioned that I had purchased a house. Mm-hmm. So, you know, at that time it was about getting our house ready to sell and packing like a crazy person. And it was Christmas time. So, you know, there was also dealing with that. So yeah, I sold our house and it was a pretty quick closing, maybe like less than 2 months. I think maybe a month and a half. Moved in the dead of winter, which is really cold. I think it was about minus 30 something when we moved into our house. That's in Celsius for everybody that is in the US, just so you're aware.
Yeah, apparently any other country that I've spoke to about Celsius versus Fahrenheit, it's just, I think, the US that's Fahrenheit. Everybody else like, oh yeah, no, I know Celsius. I'm like, oh, okay.
It is. They always got to be different.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, so it was cold, and there were a few things that we weren't expecting when we moved in. Sorry, kids. You might hear them every once in a while. Yeah, so the house was in a little bit of rough shape when we moved in, a little bit worse than what we were expecting, which I found very frustrating to say the least.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I won't go into too many details because you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some stuff there that was a bit frustrating, and we kind of sorted through that, so that's good. And then we started working on getting kitchen renovation quotes. So we're redoing our kitchen top to bottom. That was something that we had agreed on, you know, when we got the house. And in between there, we also purchased a second house as a rental property, which has been something that my husband and I have been really working towards manifesting for a long time. So I know he's thrilled. I'm really thrilled for this new like business venture. A little nervous, as to be expected, because it's, you know, a bit of a different situation.
Yes.
It's close to the lake. It's Georgian Bay, actually, I believe is where it's close to. Yeah, it's gorgeous, and you know, despite everything that I'm talking about, it's all great positive things that I'm very grateful for and very happy about. But it did throw me off my routine a little bit, you know, with the packing and then the kids being home for Christmas break and just, you know, the constant back and forth and stuff. So it did throw me off my morning rituals and some of my gratitude and self-care practices, which I will say it did affect me overall on my mental health. And I know, Laurah-Lee, you know, you've had some stuff that you were also not feeling 100%.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah.
Yep. And I feel like a lot of people can relate when you kind of get off of that uh, routine and like ritual, like it does affect your mental health, and it can be difficult to get back on track with it, and you don't really realize like how much it affects you until you know, after quite some time of not doing it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's kind of a good point that I'll jump into. So, yeah, I had a lot of stuff that I'm not ready to share about yet. But first of all, the winter holidays are not my time of year at all. It's usually a very depressing time for me, and some things leading up before that really threw me for a loop, and I fell into a bit of a depression. And I know for one, I definitely stopped all my practices. I wasn't doing them. And I knew, I kept this voice in the back of my head, Laurah-Lee, you know what you need to do to get yourself out of here. And I just kept ignoring it because I wasn't ready to deal with it. I don't know if I really fully have dealt with everything that was going on, but yeah, so it took me, I remember, I think it was like 4 days into January. I'm like, okay, like I'm not letting this, you know, ruin the new year for me. Like I got to get back into these practices. And I started doing a little bit here and there, but I wasn't consistent. I definitely wasn't doing it every day, maybe not even every week. And then February started, I think maybe mid-February, so things started to happen more frequently. And I'm still fighting that, trying to do it every day. But I'm in a much better place now than I was at the end of last year. But a lot of stress that I was dealing with, and just emotions and whirlwind stuff going on in my world. Yeah, so some things had to take a back burner, and this was one of them. It was just really hard for both of us, even just to get together with everything going on with her and me. So yeah, so that's where we've been. So we apologize for leaving for a while, but yeah, some good and bad stuff that we were dealing with during that time. And
I was just gonna say, in case anybody doesn't know, we actually don't live in the same province, so there is a time difference too.
yes,
So you know, trying to make things, we try to make things work with our schedules, and you know, I've got kids, and I work away from the home on top of my other stuff, and Laurah-Lee just has a lot going on too with business and, you know, yoga and everything. So
yeah.
It's definitely something that I thought about though for the whole, like, over the time that we weren't doing it. And I mentioned to you a few times, I was like, oh, I can't wait to do a podcast again.
Yeah, we have. We never stop thinking about you guys.
No, true.
Like, hey, like we'll try to plan for the podcast like this week or this month, and yeah, it just didn't happen. But we're back now, and we're excited to be back and continue to share our stories and our tips.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and I think it's really good that like we're open to like with these things, because sometimes people, I feel like sometimes people think like, I don't know, like people that have been really like working on themselves, like they have it like, I don't want to say down packed, you know, but in some ways like, oh, they're, you know, always doing their morning stuff, and they don't really, you know, fall off the wagon, so to speak, or struggle to maybe get back on if they missed a couple of days. But like you, like, you know, I was like, even how I was saying, like I had a hard time getting back on track, and I was also like finding like this year, like toward, I would say, I think since when I moved, I was kind of going through a very negative spell,
Yeah.
and I was very negative and very short tempered with like everyone, and you know, my husband was like, oh, this is strange, like normally you're very positive and like, you know, outgoing and not outgoing, but you know, positive and like just more relaxed. And like we had kind of switched roles a little bit,
Yeah.
and I wasn't like that. And it was really like affecting everything again, like for me, you know.
Mhm.
I was just snapping and I was just going back, and yeah, so it's such a normal thing, but it's a matter of how we can cope with it. And you
Yeah,
know, having a support system, like we've said it many times,
yeah.
is huge. I
Mhm.
know Laurah-Lee was obviously going through stuff, but you know, I still communicated with her if I wasn't feeling great,
Yes.
and you know, vice versa, which sometimes it's nice to have that, even if the other person you're talking to isn't necessarily having, uh, you know, sorry, I'm looking for, like, even if they're not handling their own mental health the way that they would normally handle it,
Yeah.
you know, it's still nice to be able to have that support and stuff. So like, don't ever feel like, you know, you're being a burden or like you're alone or anything like that.
Yes, that's so important. And I knew that too. I'm like, I know that you were one of those people that, I could reach out to. And yeah,
Yeah.
you were there for me during that time, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, but
And you always help me too.
yeah, yeah, we're each other's support system.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, for me, one of the things that has over the years caused me a lot of depression is winter, just in general. So I'm on the west
Yeah.
coast of Canada on Vancouver Island, which is a rainforest, and it normally just pours all through winter. Every once in a blue moon, we do get some snow, and right, I think it was like a week before the Christmas holidays, we got a lot of snow, and I learned that where I live, they're not equipped to deal with the snow, so there was like no plowing of streets whatsoever, because of where we are, and it would get warm during the day and then really cold at night. Everything was an ice rink. So
Oh my goodness.
part of what I do to help with my mental health is being outdoors, going on hikes. And I refused to do it because it was just literally too dangerous to even walk out my front door. And luckily, I work from home, so I don't have to go outdoors. But
Yeah.
that was one of the things. And I remember you and a couple other friends like, "Well, have you been on a hike?" And I'm like, "No, it's dangerous outside. It's an ice rink out there. I'm not going anywhere." And part of that is because I have an old back injury from years ago, and I'm terrified that if I were to fall and slip, and fall the wrong,
Mm,
it would re-injure that, and that took me years to recover.
yeah.
So yeah, I remember talking to a friend, and he's like, "You gotta go for a hike. Like, have you been out for a hike?" Because he knows that I love it so much. And I'm like, "No!" And then I just started crying. I'm like, "It's an ice rink out here." And he laughed because he wasn't expecting my response. He's like, "I'm sorry for laughing." I'm like, it's okay. I get it. It was funny, but yeah. So I was not in a good place whatsoever. Um,
Yeah,
but
well, like you, the seasonal depression is very common, and same thing with me, like in Ontario.
mhm,
Except, you know, I would much rather take the rain
yeah,
than all the snow.
yes,
And I forgot to mention one big thing, as a lot of I did talk about before that I had manifested my Mercedes, and I had a lot of issues with my Mercedes at the beginning of the year while we were moving. It went all
right,
haywire. It went all
yeah.
haywire on me. They couldn't
That's
fix
right.
it.
I never asked you if that all got sorted out, but that's right. Yeah.
No, it didn't really get sorted out at the end of the day. Like, I got the navigation on it again, but it was a whole thing. Like, it was a whole situation, and the car was like less than a year old. So, and it just didn't come at the most opportune time. Like, I was legitimately in the middle of moving, and then I had to take my car, like, because it just went crazy. But
Yeah.
that's also the part of the problem with technology and it advancing so much too, right?
Yes.
Like, there's more of those bugs, but my car's not as important as obviously you. So I'm sorry for interrupting about that, but I was just
Yeah.
thinking
No.
about it. I was like, my
No.
car,
That's,
that thing
that's
pissed me off
great.
so much.
Yeah.
It
I
took
think
like a month for
it
the
was.
thing to get fixed.
Yeah. It was just like one thing after another. I think for that time period, right?
Yeah,
As it
yeah, it
always
was.
is. When something goes wrong, everything goes wrong.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But we're on the up and up, right?
Yes, yes, I think so. Even though we've gone back, you've had lots of nice weather. We've gone back to the winter season. So far, no snow. And
Okay, what makes you feel better? We're calling for snow on Wednesday.
okay, yeah. But yeah, so I think it's everywhere. Like I have friends in the US too, and the snow has just been crazy. The winter has just been crazy everywhere. But yeah, it's officially spring, even though it doesn't really feel like it where I am.
I know.
But yeah,
Did you do anything for the spring equinox?
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate, yeah.
And that's one, yeah, I would have wanted to do something, because spring is, I don't know if I shared this story with you before, but when I was a kid, I always, where I lived, which is a similar neighboring province to where Tabitha is, I grew up in Manitoba, and in my mind as a kid, we had 2 seasons, summer and winter.
Yes.
Winter
It's like that here too.
Yeah, winter lasted like 8 months, maybe even more. So in my mind, I'm a May baby, and I was born in summer. And I remember having this conversation with my grandpa and saying that, oh, my birthday's in the summer. He's like, no, your birthday's in the spring. And to me, I'm like, what's spring? There's only winter and summer. And if there's no snow on the ground, that's summer. So yeah, so normally in the spring, that's when I'm like, that's my season. And, as long as the sun's out and it's, starting to warm up, then that just totally boosts my spirits. But right now,
Me
it's
too.
kind of gloomy and rainy. And yeah, I don't know. When last I checked the forecast, there was no sun in the forecast for a while. It's like 100% rain for the next week. You're like, oh, great.
But I'm like, please don't snow on the 22nd.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Tomorrow already, right? I keep thinking this last week. Like all day I thought it was. I'm like, wait.
I made sure to write your birthday in my calendar because I have
Okay.
like 5 other birthdays in May, and I'm like, that's why I kept saying the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody ever remembers. No, it's May, but that's
Or as my husband said, all the best people are born in May, I guess.
Yes, that's true. I share a birthday with oh my goodness, I forgot his name. Billy Joel. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I probably don't share birthday with, I don't know who I share birthday with. Nobody.
Yeah, I'm sure some celebrity. We all have a
Some celebrity out there, yeah.
Yeah.
March 22nd.
Yes, so happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you.
We're recording this the day before.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. That's where we've been, and things are on the up and up now. Spring is officially here. That just we had our stupid time change again. I don't think everybody changes times, but
not everybody does that.
Yeah, and they've been saying this for the last 3 years, but they keep saying where I live that they're going to stop it.
They were talking about doing that here as well.
Yeah.
But
the west coast of the US, yeah, as long as the west coast of the US is all in agreement, and I think they are.
Yes.
For some official sign off or whatever, but yeah, and I don't know what that's going to be like when that actually happens.
It'd be weird.
So we'll be in this time zone, like what we're in right now, I think is the idea.
Is that how it works?
I think so, yeah, not 100%, but.
No, never mind, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I just know if they could get rid of it, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we talk about mental health, I read numerous articles over the years about how the time change really affects people's mental health.
Yes.
And the reason that they did the time change to begin with is because of farmers like hundreds of years ago, and things have just changed so much that they're like, why are we even doing this anymore? But apparently the most, a lot of accidents happen, like car stuff happen when the times change, because everybody's all, you go from like light out in the morning at this time of year to then all of a sudden the time changes, it's back to like pitch black in the morning. And it really affects your body, like your energy. Yeah.
Well, it does.
Every time change, I'm like, oh, this is the one that doesn't affect me. It's only the other one that affects me. And then every year I'm reminded both of them affect affect me
Yeah.
just bad.
Well, and also like even with your sleep, like when we had the time change just the other week, like
Mhm.
me and my husband were up like so like almost the whole night because we just couldn't sleep. Like it was
Right.
very like it
Yeah.
was, like, you're an hour ahead, but really you would have been an hour behind. And
Yeah.
even though it's just an hour, like it makes a difference.
Yeah, it totally makes a difference. It really affects you a lot. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they'll just do away with the whole time change thing.
It'd be nice.
Yes, totally. Totally.
It would be.
Well, do we have anything that we want to say for this episode? Welcome back,
And welcome back, guys. We
and
miss
happy
you.
2022.
Oh yes. Oh, whoops. Yes. Happy 2022.
We're a little
Yeah.
3 months late, but whatever.
Hard to believe that it's already almost April.
I know.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think so. Like we pretty much covered everything. I've been dealing with some eye stuff, but everything's good. Everything is. I think we're doing good.
Yes.
We're doing good. Everything's go up and on the up and up, like we said. And yeah, we just need to take a bit of a break to work on some stuff and deal with some stuff. And like Laurah-Lee said, it was just hard to get together, time zones and it being busy. And but we're looking forward to being back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we had started our chakra series back at the end of last year. So we do plan to continue that series. So those will be some upcoming episodes to watch out for. And yeah, well, let's do this as episode 7.
Yeah.
And if you want to reach out, if you have any episode ideas on mental health, self-care, you can always shoot us a DM.
Anything woo-woo?
Yeah, anything woo-woo related, spiritual, self-care, self-love. It's all our vibe. And yeah, on Instagram, we're woo-woo111.1. You can reach out to us there. And any questions, comments, any feedback, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and I'll leave it in the DMs that Laurah-Lee and I check the DMs on Instagram. It's just us checking it. So please feel free to message with any content episode. Oh my god. Thinking that's YouTube. With any episode ideas or suggestions. Or if you just have any questions. I know we've talked before about how we met, but sometimes people have missed it or anything. Ask us anything. We love to help people and to answer questions.
Yes, excellent. Okay, well, do you remember our closing?
Yes, I do.
I told you to listen to yesterday.
Yes. When we said, so feel free to follow us on Instagram, all of that stuff like we just said. And then I remember what it is. Do you remember what it is?
I think so. Okay, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try to do it simultaneously.
Okay, we're gonna try it. Ready? Okay.
1, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
2, 3. And may the woo be woo with you. One day we'll get it where we're in sync.
All right. Well, we'll see you we'll see you you'll see us if you're on the YouTube channel. By the way, we're on YouTube as well.
Yes. Oh my god.
See the episode, you can join us there under the same name, Woo Woo 111.1. And we'll be here for the next episode.
Yes, we'll post everything in the show notes.
Yes, exactly. All right. Okay, we will say bye for now. And
bye for now, guys.
Talk to you next time.
Bye.